Hi everyone, I continue making Quadra V-Tech from Cyberpunk 2077. In the last part we completed with the muffler, and as long as I've set up the rear of the car, I'll continue working with it. In this video I want to make a rear bumper. Of course, there's one already, but it's not the same as from the 3D game model. The original bumper has a complex construction and consists of a dozen parts assembled into one whole detail. The rear bumper also has its tail and marker lights and also turn signals. I acquired a silicone covering for an LED tape for them. It's completely vacuum tight, has a pair of diffusers, and is blacked out from the outside. Its size is the same as one from the original 3D model, 20mm. For the project we'll use a 12-volt LED tape with a solid glow. Another reason why the old bumper isn't suitable is that there's simply no space between stiffening ribs for a silicone covering. A new bumper will be made edgewise of the old one. I'll try to cut out one bumper lamella on the CNC machine according to the 3D model and see where it'll fit the car's body. The bumper lamellas will be cut out of 10mm plywood. Later I'll cover them with fiberglass resin. I chose between several materials such as Textilite, PVC plastic, but still decided upon the plywood due to its availability. Also, after its treatment and coating with a glass fiber cloth, it won't be behind the above-mentioned materials. The bumper lamella was divided into two parts, as it's over 2 meters wide. So far, I twisted two details together using the self-tapping screws and tried them on Quadra's body. The lamella turned out to be a couple of centimeters wider in the area of angle. Still, it fitted perfectly in the area of arches. I decided to make a template from this lamella for my car body and cut them manually with a jigsaw. Of course, it was possible to fix the 3D model and cut everything using a CNC machine or increase the body with putty. Yet I thought it'd be much faster. It's also the fact that the back part is a couple of centimeters narrower, unlike the original, will be invisible to the naked eye. All in all, we need to cut out 10 parts. I twisted the first lot between each other and aligned the ends of the details. I also twisted the details between each other with an overlap and tried them on in their place. Everything fits well. Small defects will be smoothed with putty. I'm gonna use an overlap welding, and in case there's no step I'll remove about 5mm from each detail. Then the workpieces became glued together. Thus we made all 5 steps, excluding 2 between which there'll be a rear light. I'm gonna make the distance between the lamellas with the spacers. The spacer's width will be 19mm, so that the 20mm thin covering can fit tightly between them. I accurately fitted the lamellas and twisted the ends together with screws. After that, I began to insert the spacers between them. Then I unscrewed the self-tapping screws and inserted the rest of the spacers. At last we've got a composite bumper made of lamellas. After the fitting, I clipped the ends according to the arch size. The upper lamella was increased as it couldn't reach the arch. There is a chamfer on the detail's ends. I made it using a belt sander. The bumper workpiece is completely ready. It can be glued over with a glass fiber fabric. I cut the fabric into strips and wrapped the lamellas in it. Then I covered them with a polyester resin. I tried to wrap the details with a duct tape to press the glass fiber fabric as hard as possible against the plywood and evacuate all the air. This had to be done in a hurry, as the resin was crystallizing amain. Most likely it'd be impossible without the duct tape, as there would be a lot of air bubbles. After drying, I removed the duct tape and all the folds with the belt sander. Further, I applied another layer of the polyester resin. Then twisted everything together again. I'll hone their ends to perfection right before the painting. In the meantime, I'm gonna make a stiffening frame for the entire construction. I bent the shape tube and screwed it on top. To attach the remaining lamellas to the frame, I cut the steel plates that will be screwed to each lamella and hold it in its place. After that, the plates will be connected to each other and welded to the upper tube. There will also run the shape tube from below. For further work, all the details need to be painted. The lamellas were covered with black priming and the frame was covered with an anti-corrosion paint. I twisted the details among themselves again before fitting and applied the bumper to the back. I made a temporary attachment using the metal hangers. After I'd been satisfied that the bumper was fixed neatly in its place, I started preparing a mount for it to the body. I made 2 more mounts from each side instead of the rear ventilation valves. The lamellas are not fixed near the arches in no way. There is a detail that constitutes the side part of the bumper and concurrently a splasher. The plastic foam blank should be rolled into the fiberglass. First, I glued it with an aluminum duct tape so that there was no contact between the epoxy resin and the foam plastic. Then I covered the detail with a glass fiber mat plus resin. In order to press the fiberglass well against the blank, I put it in the bag and pumped out the air with a vacuum cleaner. This is certainly not a vacuum infusion, but the detail turns up of a better quality rather than simply pressing the glass fiber mat with a brush. The air bubble remained there where the bag didn't fit well, and in its entirety, everything was pressed perfectly. I removed the folds and covered the detail with putty with large glass fiber. Before attaching these details in their place, we need to make the lower part of the bumper or diffuser. This detail is rather complicated for the CNC machine, so I had to divide it into 4 parts. To speed up the process, it was cut roughly with a large step, as it still needed to be taped and treated with putty. I glued the details together with an assembly adhesive. In order to align and strengthen the joint of the glued parts, I screwed the plywood to the detail. Then I tried it to the bumper. As the muffler was made for the old bumper, there remained a huge distance between the diffuser and the muffler. We need to remove the exhaust silencer, but after the diffuser will get covered with the fiberglass. I glued the diffuser in 2 stages. First was the top, then the bottom, and also smoothed everything with the putty. To attach this detail, I made the cast-ins with a stud welded to them. With its help, we'll set the gap between the bumper and the diffuser. The lower part of the bumper is in place. Now the side elements can be screwed in. I put the spacers in their place and screwed each lamella to the detail. I did the same thing from the other side. Now the lamella's ends have the same distance and don't dangle. Next we need to raise the muffler. I'm gonna lift the entire muffler, cause it's rather time-taking process to transfer the tailpipes. I immediately sawed off the inlet flange. To lift the muffler higher, I removed the trunk floor and placed the muffle so that the tailpipes were at short distance from the diffuser. Then I welded hooks for the rubber hangers and added the missing insert between the muffle and the flange. Too bad that we cannot lift the muffler pipe higher, as the gear unit and the subframe don't allow to make it. Before installing the covering for LED strip in its place, I covered the lower splitter with priming. I'll install them just for fitting. They'll be glued in after the painting. I installed 2 stripes and the black cover ran out. We'll have to order more in a while. In order not to interrupt the working process, I'll use a white silicone profile, which was bought in a trial run. I'll insert the LED tape into the profile using a wire. Now we need to apply 12 volts to it and check the glow. The tape can be safely connected to the car's in-vehicle network. You can also change the brightness and use it as a stop signal. Thanks everyone for watching. If you liked this video, share it and put your thumbs up. See you in the next part.